Hi everyone, welcome to the Saturday evening live stream. We have a great show again and a lot of amazing guests. So let me just jump straight into it and introduce our guests. First of all, Asa Walker, co-owner of GameOnDaily. How are you doing?
It's Saturday evening. We're doing our live show. We're talking about games, all the things that I enjoy. So I'm really, really happy. I'm pleased today as well. We've got somebody on the podcast, one of our guests. I'm assuming it's Clowns that does it, but we'll find out for sure in a minute. That also does this role of keeping streams together and holding things in place. So he knows my joy and my pain as we go through, which is a nice change. Over to you.
Well, I'm sure you'll enjoy it even more now. We've got great guests as well. But first of all, before we go to our guests, talk about it says Sham, it's actually Sammy because Sham had to leave last minute, but it's his brother.
It won't say that for long. You carry on.
And I think Sham, you just squeeze in a little bit so you're in the shot. That's Sam. Sam, how are you doing? And
I'm good, bro.
And what are you looking forward to discussing today?
I'm looking forward to learning about things that I haven't known about. That's probably everything. So,
Which is a theme with you, but that's why we love you. You're the layman. This time we're joined by two great guests. First of all, Flamish from Daily Gaming Bites. Sir, thank you so much for joining us. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing great. Like you say, it's Saturday. I'm just enjoying my weekend, looking at all things Gamescom at the moment, and there's a lot of information. So
yeah, exactly. I'm really looking forward to talking to you about that. I think you were catching up on some shows as well to really get into the groove. So I'm really excited to talk about it. It's been a mad week. And last but not least, we've got new guest Clowns. Sir, please introduce yourself. How are you doing? And thank you so much for joining us at GameOnDaily.
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. Really love being here. You know, I'm a host with Flamish on Daily Gaming Bites. I've been in the podcast thing for quite a few years now with Four Guys with Quarters. So just excited to get into some topics with you guys.
Oh, excited to talk you through it. First of all, it's a bit of a topical one, and sorry to thrust you into a bit of a politicized one, I would say. But it's the Xbox Series X. There's a lot of noise being made by Xbox fans. I've made a lot of noise on this about this as well, particularly on Twitter, because a lot of viewers, if you haven't followed this through, a lot of Xbox fans are really disappointed with Gamescom having come through, expecting a lot of Xbox Series X gameplay and not being shown any real games or gameplay for what is supposed to be the most powerful console on the planet. Oh, sorry.
Your chai wallace here.
Our tea man is here to deliver some tea. Sorry. Thank you so much. So I want to talk about it. Hi, Moby. Thank you guys for joining in the chat. Hi, everyone. Do feel free to jump in and let us know your thoughts on this. So the Xbox Series X is coming out in 2 months. And we haven't seen any gameplay for it. I was arguing with a couple of friends of mine as well, saying that this is just ridiculous. This is the most basic ask that we could ask for. That you were making so much noise about this next-gen console, yet we have remarkably seen very little, if any, gameplay from the console itself. Before we go on to the guest, Asa, what are your thoughts on that before I start ranting?
Do you know, I intended to look back actually and check the first of the Xbox shows where they promised the Series X gameplay and they had Dirt 5 and things like that. Was any of that on the Series X hardware?
No, I think that most of those were running on PC or running on equivalent spec PCs, which is something I'll get into.
Well, generally, honestly, it's been kind of funny watching the Twitter sphere meltdown over this particular point. It is something that we brought up and spoke about immediately after the Halo Infinite delay. And I think a fair few people might owe Bonnie Ross an apology, to be fair, because it does look like there are some problems with the development tools on the Xbox side of things. It's very hard to paint individual studios as responsible when it seems to be affecting everyone. I
think that point of yours, Asa, not a lot of people are picking up on. And I think it's really important that people hear this point. Can you just run us through that point about the development tools being the problem here?
So we were talking a couple of weeks ago, or however long ago now, that the Halo Infinite was delayed. With the point I was making at the time being that the only studios that have shown anything at all in terms of ray tracing and things like that are are the Xbox studios real incubator studios. There's two studios that they use when they're doing anything new. So it was very, very noticeable when they were developing DirectX 12 and talking about that the first time. The first studio that always shows anything at all is Turn 10. And you might think of them as a racing studio, but they're not just a racing studio, they're an incubator studio for new technology as well. So Microsoft used them to show DirectX 12. Forza 5 on NVIDIA hardware was the demo back then. I got a little shout in the chat that Medium was showing, but Medium was one of those running on PC, wasn't it? Yeah, and the other one that they use is the Coalition. So the games that always follow are typically Gears of War games from the Coalition, using those same technologies, so DirectX 12 or artificial intelligence, upscaling an image, things like that. Anything new and fancy that Microsoft are doing, those are the two studios, and those are the only two studios that we've seen any hint of ray tracing from. And it really, really strongly suggests that the development tools for the Series X, and for ray tracing in particular, but probably all the rest as well, are just not out in the hands of the studios in the way that they need to be. Not ready. There's some issue there, and you can likely point your finger at COVID, and it probably is realistically the problem, because it is hard to share development tools at the moment.
Yeah. But then shouldn't Microsoft come out and say that maybe, or is that even a bigger thing to admit to, as opposed to letting their studios take the brunt of this? Flemish, what do you think? I mean, what's your general view on the Xbox Series X and the lack of gameplay?
Okay, so first of all, we do know that the Series X, we haven't seen the gameplay yet on the console itself. We have seen some gameplay on like the PC dev kits, basically. So that's, yeah, like I think too that should have been shown already. They're touting the box since last year December. They should have something in the works on the Series X over there. On the other hand, I do think COVID is a big problem here as well. Especially like Unreal Engine 5 is being delayed, so that's next year. So that's also one of the reasons many of the new ray tracing and all the technical stuff is getting delayed as well, I think. Otherwise we would maybe have seen some more stuff like that. So yeah, I'm a little bit short on this topic. I'm not being
it's true though. I think a lot of people need to remember that these are unprecedented times, and I'll go back into I will give some slack, but I'm a bit more critical than most on this one, so I'll be a little bit harsh here, I think. But before I go into my rant, clowns, what do you think of this?
Well, I agree with Flemish, and I agree with Asa as well, that I think that COVID was a big factor in a lot of the issues that developers are having. I mean, not only COVID itself, but the side effects of COVID too. Like, for example, the stress that it puts on people, the depression, the anxiety. So they're not going to be as productive, I don't think. So productivity is going down. They're spending more time at home with their families. There's less time to produce, less time to get stuff ready. However, with that said, I still think, a big corporation like Microsoft and Xbox should have had at least even a 5-minute demo on the Xbox Series X. I mean, how hard is it to take something that's already in existence and then port it over, even like a 5-minute thing? We saw 15 seconds of Godfall at Gamescom. We could have seen 15 seconds of something on Xbox Series X. So I'm a little disappointed, because I do think that there's even third-party studios out there that have stuff already ported to the Xbox Series X. And even if it's a third-party or a multi-plat, I'm fine with that. I just want to see something working on the console.
Exactly. So we can't. And Moby says, why is Microsoft using the COVID excuse, like they've been haven't been working on games before February 2020? And you know what, for Moby, I agree with you, because we saw Hellblade, and this goes back to what Clowns was saying as well. Clowns, you're right. We have seen Hellblade last year when the Xbox Series X was revealed. Surely they've progressed somewhat in there. Instead, at the Xbox Games event in July, I think, they came on stage and then just say, the digital stage, and then came on and said, the game is set in Iceland or somewhere. I mean, I don't know, that boggles my mind. Like, you need to show gameplay. How can you be in a position 2 months out of release for a console and not show the games running on it. Particularly, when you as a corporation or the fans have been making so much noise about how much power this console has, and it is the most powerful console. And granted, and you have to give them credit for being really transparent. They did a hot chips, breakdown of it. They've been so transparent with their console because they're obviously confident. But it's ultimately pointless if the games aren't there to show off that power, and that's a massive, massive omission. There's a massive gap there, and I just don't think that's. There's a reason why I think that's happened is because they were really banking on Halo to fill that gap. Halo is going to fill the gap on two things: one, in terms of the game, but two, because of this, we don't believe in generations narrative. This, I think, is just nonsense. I'll be honest with you; it's a convenient excuse. Because if you look at the games that are really next gen, Fable, Avowed, the new Forza, they're actually coming out on the Xbox Series X a couple of years down the line. So they're not, that cross-gen narrative doesn't make sense, because if they really were so scalable, they would be on the Xbox One as well, if you really truly believe that. But Halo was supposed to be that game that was going to give them that that excuse. But then one, it looked so bad that didn't help, and two, then it got delayed. And now we're left with this massive void. And I just think that even despite that, the fact that we can't even see gameplay, like you said, clowns, from a third party even, it's weird. And I was arguing with a couple of friends of mine, Jim and Ray. They were saying, oh, well, there'll be a game event coming in. And like, what games event? Why were we making excuses? Why were we guessing 2 months before, the console's supposed to be released? So that's the Xbox Series X tech demo of Gears of War 5, which came out last year.
Oh, right.
So that's supposed to, I mean, it runs impressively. And so this is the counter argument that my friends raised. Well, you've seen Gears of War 5 running on the Xbox Series X. You've seen Minecraft with its path tracing and ray tracing effects being shown off. You've seen the hot chips breakdown of the console. What more do you need? But Flemish, do you think that's okay? Do you think that's enough?
No, I don't think it's okay that it's so close to launch. From the PlayStation 5, we do have a little bit more things in terms of games and how they run on the PlayStation 5, but we don't have the total equivalent of specs yet. So there is the other way around. But coming from Xbox on this side, yeah, I think it's sad that we only see, like, from last year maybe that that Gears 5 demo that we've seen running on the X, but haven't basically seen nothing else yet that's like next gen, I would say.
Exactly, next gen title. This is what I was saying. Blasteroid is saying the same similar. They said they showed a port of Gears of War running on Series X, ultra settings with only 2 weeks of work. Why is the panel attempting to make points that no? And it just got
that's interesting, because there's they did show that the 2 weeks of work. They also showed much later on, and it's running on the stream at the moment. The tech demo that they showed of Series X running Gears 5 does have some really nice things to it. It does have the ray trace shadows that are great, and you've also got they've been a little bit vague on it, but the very brief Forza 8 demo that we showed that was labeled as in-engine, there's a fair chance that is running on the Series X. But again, that's the two studios that have access to the tools before anyone else. Those are their pioneering studios.
Yeah.
They always go first. So I think it's just a timeline thing. The other studios will get these tools and will get whatever is missing from their lives at the moment to deliver things that look at least as good, hopefully better than a game from last gen. But there's definitely a scheduling issue there, because we have seen so little.
Yeah, and that's the thing. We've seen so little. And like Flemish was saying, we need to see next gen stuff. And this is what I was saying to my friend Jim. We're saying we need to see next gen games. I'm not changing the goalposts. It's a very basic request. Like with the Xbox One, no matter how badly they blundered with their launch, they released Rise, they released Killer Instinct, they released Dead Rising. These are games that you couldn't play on the Xbox 360. Well, apart from from K. Oh, maybe KI was it cross-gen? I don't know. But that could run on 360. But Dead Rising proved that with all those numbers on screen, you couldn't do it next gen. Something to show you this is next gen. This is something.
I will say again, just watching the thing on there. The soft concept shadows on Gears 5. If next gen was just the same games but with the shadows that look that good, I'd probably actually be pretty happy. I hate glitchy shadows, but it looks fantastic. So the console's going to be well capable when they do catch up on this stuff.
And that's true. And then I think that's Blastroid is saying that the consoles will look, and there shouldn't be any doubt because Xbox have been very frank about it. But let me get a layman's perspective. Sammy, what do you think about the fact that what's impressed you with Xbox Series X? Do you feel like there's a
I just don't think there's been that much difference in what Sony showed versus what Microsoft showed. There's maybe a few extra minutes of actual gameplay footage between the two. So if you're going to criticize Xbox, I would criticize Sony and PlayStation as well. They've not shown, in my view, as much gameplay as each other. And
that's a fair point.
The thing about COVID is that I don't actually see why COVID should affect this. Surely to share tools or the actual act of making games is done on computers. That can be done from home.
I guess those studios are typically used to working in offices, and
but they can adapt quicker than anyone.
It's an issue of sharing gigabytes and gigabytes worth of data to send the latest build of something over to somebody else that's working on it. So they are appreciable issues, but.
But the thing is that how would they normally share that data? Is over Ethernet?
Presumably, yeah.
And then internet is pretty much quick now.
Well, so the studio behind Ori and the Blind Forest have always been working remotely. They've been ahead of the game. So there is a point that I do kind of agree with you that studios can mobilize. The effects of COVID are real. It's affected the world. So I won't make any excuses on that front. But going back to your point about PlayStation, what's PlayStation showed? PlayStation showed off Ratchet and Clank, and they showed an extended gameplay about 8 minutes long. And you know what? Even if it's just, I agree with you. They haven't shown that much more, but there's still one more title. That's still one more game showing off.
Do you know what I found really interesting about the way that PlayStation are showing things off? Yeah. Not too long ago, Microsoft bought loads of studios, and their excuse is that none of those studios are ready to show anything yet. What are Sony showing? Who's the studio behind Spider-Man and Ratchet and Clank, the two games that we're seeing?
Oh yeah,
the most recent of all the acquisitions between the two of them. Insomniac are a phenomenal studio. What a buy that's been for them. Yeah, Imagine this conversation now, this comparison between consoles if you take away Insomniac.
There's nothing. Really, that's a very good point. Bug snacks. Yeah. So I don't know. I still don't think it's good enough. I think you've got very hardcore Xbox fans who are rallying and asking for something. For the life of me, I cannot show a game to someone to say, hey, this is a reason why you should buy an Xbox Series X, other than Hellblade 2's in-engine, trailer, which it's old. It is not true gameplay. So, Sony have that one more thing. Yeah, I know. I agree with you. It isn't that much. But if you told me last year, by the way, if you told me last year, hey, by the way, Sony will show off one game called Ratchet and Clank, and that's it, no gameplay, and you'll be 2 months away from release, I'd have laughed at you and have said Xbox is one, because there's no way they would not come. They would come up short. Yeah. Yet remarkably, here we are, 2 months away, and we have nothing to show. And you're going to want to show me a Gears of War 5 demo with a game that released last year on the previous gen console? Minecraft, man, for God's sake. I know path tracing is impressive, and also, but we need something next gen. And yeah, I don't. Well, I'm not happy with that. But let's move on from a good tangent is the Ratchet and Clank gameplay. What did you think, Flemish, about the gameplay?
Well, I've seen the gameplay. I watched it multiple times because there's so much stuff going on in the gameplay. It's actually an extended cut of what was shown on the PlayStation 5 event a couple of months ago.
Yeah.
and I was actually amazed by it. So first of all, there's a lot more particle effects. Like if you destroy the crates, you actually see them explode, and a lot of wood bits are going out as well.
Yeah.
Ray tracing is in there, or a form of it. Like when you look at the glass when they're walking inside the building on the floor, like the tiles, you can actually see all the reflections going on. The metal looks very metallic.
On the on Clank, you can see the reflections on his ring.
Yeah, you see the reflections as well. It looks like a real next gen title, like to me, personally. And the colors just pop. I love when Ratchet and Clank game, the colors just pop off the screen. It looks more detailed than the last one. So
yeah, I think it looks next gen. I think. Sorry, Ace, I've just noticed that Flemish and Clown's Twitter handles are the same. We've got.
Whoops. Yeah.
Oh yeah, and there's one thing as well, like the no loading screens. I cannot still believe it that when you go into those dimensions and you go into the next world, it's like instantaneously there. It looks like you're watching a movie.
See, that's the thing. See, so this is what I'm talking about. Everyone's saying, and you say we've only seen one game and this is it. I mean, that looks like a Pixar movie. But if you go in and watch,
that does look good.
Yeah, it looks sick. But when you see, you'll see in this, and the footage is running now for viewers. When we go through the portal, it instantly transports between worlds. I was a bit skeptical because when they first showed off they showed off him running through the different worlds. But when the gameplay started, he was shifting within the gameplay space, but just moderately, and it was resetting things. So I thought, okay, maybe there may be like. And Blasteroid says, don't believe Sony when they say captured on PlayStation. They did that Killzone fiasco, but I won't go that far. But, giving Insomniac, they're a great studio and they deserve the benefit of the doubt, if there is any doubt. In this gameplay footage, you see them at the end going through that, shifting through those game walls, a massive game, the whole level changes. And it's full-on gameplay. You see the prompts, and I think that's crazy. And you talk about no loading, Flemish. You actually see it at the start, like you did with Halo Infinite. The start screen, boom, you're straight into the gameplay. I can't process that in my head. That's the thing I'm so excited about. Not waiting for experiences. Clowns, what did you think of Ratchet? Are you hyped like we are about how good it looks?
Yeah, I am hyped about it. I mean, Ratchet and Clank is one of my favorite PlayStation titles, and I love Insomniac as well. So everything that they do, I just happen to love, like, Spider-Man, Ratchet and Clank. I love Sunset Overdrive. But I thought, the extended gameplay, like Flamish was saying, there was a lot of neat stuff in there that we did see that the PlayStation 5 is capable of, like the ray tracing, like the, like the reflections on the floor. Going through the rifts, there's like no loading time. So that was fantastic, right? I mean, I'm really excited for this game, man.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful game. There's no complaints, and I just can't see why, when I see this, Xbox should have done something similar. Just put 8 minutes together or something.
Yeah, man. And the fact that the Xbox is considerably more powerful than the PlayStation 5, they make so much noise about it, and they can't show anything comparable to this. It's a big, it's a big slap in the face for Xbox and their fans, because I just think, okay, Insomniac are a great studio. They are great. And, Asa just would point that I didn't really consider without Insomniac, what would we have had? They're just the most recent buy as well. So everyone's saying, Microsoft has just bought these studios and they have to give them time to develop games. But here's a studio you just bought, and the two big games, Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Ratchet and Clank, are coming from that newly acquired studio. So it's a weird one. I guess it comes down to talent.
Microsoft now own this studio.
No, sorry, Sony. Yeah, Sony owned the studio.
Sony.
Yeah, Sony bought Insomniac very recently.
And to be fair, I'm sure Spider-Man and Ratchet and Clank were already well into development, because Sony did already have that relationship with them.
Yeah.
And I do want to pick in on here, like. On the Gamescom opening night live, we saw something about Dragon Age 4. That game is early in development. We saw some things that were like in dev kit tools where you have no textures at all. You saw like just a guy. They could have shown something like that, just the reflections of that, or that would be cool as well. Like there's so much stuff that they could have shown and just not have the opportunity, or have not done yet, while they should have, to make the fans more exciting for Xbox.
Yeah, so I don't understand. Blaster says Wakanda forever. Yeah, absolutely, Wakanda forever. Rest in peace to the actor who passed away. So he was so young. Really sad to hear that. I going back to Xbox. I just don't see that. Blaster says it's a linear scripted corridor-based shooter. Ratchet and Clank looks superb, but there's a reason they have so much overhead. There's nothing there that cannot be done on a radio. I think the chat's coming up from me on stream on YouTube, but I don't think that's fair. I don't think that's fair. That's a bit harsh considering how much it's doing. That's not doing 99% more than what we've seen on Xbox, because we've seen nothing. Like you're seeing, look, right here is an example of a game that you can't run on current gen, which is a big slap in the face, like of Microsoft, not breaking gens.
It's also that is an interesting point because firstly, the Radeon 5700 can't do ray tracing at all, so that's categorically not quite true because there is ray tracing in this game. But it's not just it's not just the graphics card that we're talking about. So there's a lot made of the PlayStation 5 potentially having a pretty similar architecture to some of the existing AMD hardware. And actually, I think we will find that it will be closer to something that gets released soon of similar spec. But there's a lot more to the console than just the graphics card. So you can stick one of those cards in and it will make things a higher resolution. But you stick the processors that these consoles have got, the SSDs that they've got, and then you've got a game that couldn't be done. Okay, it could be done on a PC. That's never really been in question that PCs are powerful.
Yeah. Blaster says, Asa, you're wrong. The 5700 can
software-based ray tracing. There was that tech demo from Crytek. I know what you're talking about, but it doesn't have the ray tracing hardware that an RTX card has, or that the PlayStation and the Xbox have now. So quite a fundamental difference.
Yeah, and Blaster, I think you know this because we'll be talking about hardware ray tracing as well and how cool it is and why that's a big deal on the Xbox Series X, and hopefully the PlayStation can do that as well. So now that you've seen this gameplay, because
I'm more impressed now than because the first time I saw that, I wasn't looking specifically at Clank's metal, how realistic that metal actually looks, and the ray tracing. I wasn't actually noticing all
and
of
the
that.
jumping through the walls.
Yeah, jumping, and how instantaneous it all is. And the particle effects, there's so much going on the screen at the same time.
That's what Flemish was saying. It's next gen.
Yeah, definitely.
It's doing all those things. It's ticking all the boxes for next gen, even if it's just one title. And even if we take on what Blasteroid is saying, that it's a linear scripted query based, it's very harsh. But if you take that into account, it's still doing something very impressive. And I think that's a lot. That's one more thing than Xbox, and then Xbox has naught to show. I don't count.
I'm just gonna respond again. So we've got Blasteroid there is saying again. I'm sure I'm not going to click that YouTube link, but I assume that it's the Crytek demo of the drone flying around the city that was on 5700 with some nice ray tracing, and it's very pretty. But he also says, I'm assuming, but ray tracing can be done in software. It's true, but at the moment, ray tracing can barely be done on hardware. If you look at the performance on the RTX cards,
I've got an RTX card and it kills. Try play control with ray tracing on. I love it, but it chugs through like semen through peanut butter. I don't know, that's weird. I don't know why that analogy came to my head, but yeah.
It's also still pretty new, so they're still looking how they can optimize it. There is like DLLS or something in control that helps a little bit with that, but it's still in the early stages, so we'll get better.
Yeah, definitely will, and it definitely will. But that won't take away from Ratchet and Clank. It's I'm sure Digital Foundry will do a bit of a check on how Ratchet and Clank is doing the ray tracing, and maybe doing it quarter res or something like that. This is a better topic for Asa. He understands that, and ray tracing really will be. It should be the case that the Xbox Series X does it much more proficiently than the PlayStation 5. Because the full RDNA 2. No, I won't go into that. But it's interesting. It's really useful having Sammy on to kind of give that perspective, because that perspective is really important. What will the masses think? What can the masses see? The Spider-Man, the Ratchet and Clanks, And what will Xbox have? Name me one game, Blasteroid, that the Xbox will have. Jat says Microsoft, and I agree with you, Jat, 100%. Microsoft put all their eggs into the Halo basket, which is the main reason why the next gen offering is lacking. And you know what? If I was Microsoft, I would actually understand that, because Halo is a behemoth. That not coming in, that would have really slapped everything away, and it didn't on many fronts. So yeah, there you go. So Gamescom was this week, and what we also saw, a game that I'm really excited for, which says quite a bit really, is Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. For me, Call of Duty Modern Warfare was great. After years of being, so just to give a perspective, I'm a massive Call of Duty Modern Warfare fan, particularly Modern Warfare 2, and I sunk my life into it. And since then, the series just went downhill for me. I know some people think Black Ops they hold that in higher regard. I'd love to get your views, Clowns and Flemish, on this point. But for me, it's been a downward kind of trend until Modern Warfare came out. A great campaign, and the multiplayer has been really good, but Warzone changed the game for me. And now looking at Black Ops Cold War, I'm super hyped on the back of the success of the previous game. Are you guys hyped about it, Flemish? Are you a COD fan? Or?
I was a COD fan back in the day. My most favorite game is Black Ops 2. Yeah. I was a little bit too young before, I would say. Didn't have the consoles that much. Could not play that much. But Black Ops 2, I did play a lot of multiplayer. I love the campaigns. But since Advanced Warfare, that's the last one I bought, and then after that I didn't buy them anymore. I saw they were going downhill straight, to bad monetization stuff with Black Ops 4, 3. The last Black Ops.
Bad monetization applies to all of them, so you can mention any Call of Duty game, really. But yeah.
Okay, but basically, I didn't like where they were going after Advanced Warfare. Did enjoy that game as well, but less than Black Ops 2. And then, there were a few dots as well along the way. But overall, the new Call of Duty, the campaign looks cool. But I don't know what's going on with the multiplayer yet, so we'll have to wait for that.
Coming early September, I think it's 9th?
September 9th, they're doing the multiplayer reveal, yes. And how it ties into the Warzone Battle Royale, I don't know. But...
Yeah, but that's wildly successful. Or everyone I know is actually playing that right now, actually. So there's a very good point. I would love to see how they tie that down, because it's so wildly successful. I don't think you can divorce it.
It's already kind of divorced from Modern Warfare anyway, and it's free to play and you can download it without the rest. So I assume, speculative, I assume they're going to keep that going.
Yeah, definitely. Clowns, what do you think? Are you a big COD fan?
Yeah, I am. I think, like you said, Modern Warfare was the one that got me back into the series a lot. Before this one, I liked World War II a lot, and then before that, I was a Modern Warfare 3 fan. But this one in particular, I just really got back into it. I love the Warzone, the battle passes. I love the skins, the operator missions. There's a lot of exciting stuff in here. And I'm looking forward to Cold War, because I'm hoping they expand on this kind of stuff, like the battle passes, operator missions. And I hope that, that it's got that Treyarch touch that people love to it as well. But it takes a lot from, I'm hoping it takes a lot from Modern Warfare, what they learned, and adds it into a Treyarch game.
I hope they use the same engine, because that's a brand new engine on the Modern Warfare one. It'd be silly not to, wouldn't it? Must be using that engine, because game engines aren't easy to develop. And,
I'm not too sure about the engine, but I heard someone say in a party chat that it's a whole different engine. So I'm not sure. They said that it was like a new engine, but I mean, take that with a grain of salt. I'm not sure 100% on that.
Yeah. So but it seems to be a very technically proficient one anyway, because it's got the ray tracing effects. Supposedly, it's got a lot of the next gen stuff, and it looks really good based on the campaign we've seen. It looks great. Asa, you don't even jump in Warzone with me? I have to beg you to jump in.
I play with everybody else. Just whenever you invite me, I'd mark it offline and hide for the night. No, I've downloaded that 100 gigabytes or so twice.
Like 200 now, but
yeah. So I have downloaded it for the PC and for the Xbox. I've not got around to playing it at all. So I couldn't say I'm the biggest fan. I did play Call of Duty World War II on the Xbox 360 when that came out. I think I got quite a lot of achievement points, but I've not touched them too much since.
Well, you know
Not
what?
through any
Sammy's played
particular
with me.
dislike, but
Yeah.
Yeah, and we play, and he's terrible at the game. So
And
please, someone join me.
Yeah, they listen to people like me when they open up the stadium. You know.
Yeah, oh my god, the stadium on Warzone. There's a whole story behind that. But yeah, it's a great game. I think I'm really looking forward to Black Ops. Although I'm a bigger fan of. Amar says, "Yes, GameOnDaily. Can I get a shout out? Yes, you can. What's up? Welcome, Amar. Yeah, so I'm a bigger fan of the Infinity Ward titles, although they're a shadow of their former selves because they've all moved to Respawn. But they're still, they produced Modern Warfare, so it's good. But I'm still excited. Let's see what they come up with. Gotham Knights, guys, are you guys hyped about that? I'm hearing so many mixed things. I'd love to get your views on it. Flemish, tell me what you think.
Oh boy. Okay. First of all, the trailer looks good. I love the style they're going for, more of that comic booky feeling, not really entirely realistic.
Yeah.
I love the characters, especially Red Hood. He looks very interesting, more like a Deadpool kind of character to me, how he looks. But yeah, Klaus does know a lot more about comic book and probably all the characters. So I'm more of an outsider with the Batman universe and all the characters. For gameplay wise, I never expected to be level like that enemies have levels and that you have to level up and stuff. I know you had to level up a little bit in the older games, but not like we're doing now. It seems that every game is going in the way of like RPGs with levels, upgrades. You look at Avengers, you look at Outriders and other stuff like that. They all have like stuff like levels and upgrades.
Do you think that's a good thing? Do you think that's a good thing that it has all these levels, or is that a bad thing?
It's a different universe. It's a different take on it. We'll see. They did say, however, that it's not be level gated, so they're gonna level with you. So that's I'm not sure. I have to wait on it and see what they're gonna show more about the game. But at the moment, it's not a first day purchase for me. That I will say.
I'm with you on that. I'm definitely with you on that.
It's an interesting one, that. So if the enemies are going to scale with you as you level, then what was the point of leveling?
Yeah, and it also seems that it's like single player or 2-player co-op, and even if you have the same character, you can have entirely different builds and stuff. But we'll see.
I don't like the numbers popping on enemies when you shoot them.
No.
Same.
Yeah, I don't like that. The fact that Cyberpunk has that really puts me off, and I don't like that.
Don't pretend you're put off of Cyberpunk.
I'm put off with the numbers that pop off of enemies in combat.
You can almost certainly go into the options menu and disable it on Cyberpunk.
But then that sucks, because if you do the option there, then it's like, oh, you're at a disadvantage. It's weird.
Isn't that interesting? Isn't that similar to how you have performance mode settings on these games? Completely different topic, but all this hype around, you can choose now. You've got performance mode, you can have 60 frames per second, or a resolution mode, you can have 4K resolution. You get a decision like that, and I say, you're making me choose what I lose, and I hate that decision.
Well, that's a big.
What do I want to sacrifice? Neither of those.
Well, get a PC, a very, very expensive PC.
Yeah, if you want to basically have that, you have to buy a PC. That's where all the elitists are, and you can do whatever you want with the graphics, because then you can scale whatever you want, how you want it. But it's cool we have options. I mean, I love options. Sometimes I go for the 30 frames, sometimes I go for the 60 frames and the 4K or the 1080p. Like with the new Avengers, you can have the 4K option or the 1080p option, but have like the locked frame rate at the 1080p option. So yeah, it's a little bit of what do you want out of gaming?
I think that's a good option to have, because Ratchet and Clank has that option as well.
And I'll hate it there as well. I hate it on all of them, especially if I go into Ratchet and Clank and it turns out that option is like, do you want ray tracing or not, or something like that.
That will be there.
Oh yeah, it's
what's
definitely there,
the-
but they haven't said what you lose if you go into performance mode.
Yeah, Marion Stoyer, hope I pronounced that properly. Thank you for joining us.
What's up?
Jat says choice is good, Asa. Stop being a
It's how
fool.
you
We didn't
frame
hear
it.
that.
Yeah, it's a matter of perspective. I frame it as which one of these do I want to lose, rather than which of these delicious options do I want. What am I going to sacrifice? That's how I see that choice. Just make it for me. Give me the best game that you've got, and I'll play that.
I can see the choice being useful. For example, if you're playing offline single player, then you would want to go for the quality. If you're playing online, then you'd probably want more frames.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, multiplayer. You could just,
Most people
that would be
pick.
useful.
That's why the choice is good, Asa. There you go. See, Mr. Moonman. Let's confirm that. Don't be a chibi, says Jat. I don't know what that means, Asa. I hope. But yeah,
If you don't know what it means, don't read it out live.
Yeah, I know. I really shouldn't do that. Clowns. What? Flemish mentioned that you're a bigger comic book guy, I assume. Are you impressed with Gotham Knights? Because I have a comic book friend, by the way, who really isn't happy about a few things, but I'll discuss that with you.
Yeah, this game has me a little bit disappointed, to be honest with you. I really was expecting a Batman game, and that's not what we got. We got the sidekick game. These are like all the sidekicks throughout Batman, and it's like, who do you want to be and who do you want to fight as? The fighting mechanics are very similar to like older Batman games.
Yeah.
But to be honest with you, I'm not a big fan of Nightwing. I don't really care much for Robin. He's just like, the sidekick for Batman that goes and gets his utility belt or coffee or brings the Batmobile around. And, Red Hood's interesting, but I really haven't read into his stories. And, Batgirl's the other one that goes back like to the 1960s show. I mean, she's popular, but without Batman, like what is the real point of this game? It's just like, hey, we got a city that's full of crime and, in a comic book universe, and sidekicks go fix it.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It kind of irks me the wrong way. I don't know what they were thinking. They took out the biggest money making character from DC and said, we're going to give you, a la carte, like cheap options here on the sidekicks.
Yeah, so it's like the B team. Well, here you go. Here's the B team. It's like going to a strip club on a Tuesday. It's not nice. I don't understand. I don't know who half these people are. I'm talking about Batman, not the strip club. Like, why? Who are these characters? Unless you don't follow the law strictly. I mean, do you know? You asked me what the hell is a Batgirl?
Yeah, but the highlight from this was the hair wasn't great.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Stupid, yeah.
What's up with the next gen hair? Why is it a clump of clay on the back of her head? I don't like that. It's just annoying to me. Well,
Batgirl is Commissioner Gordon's daughter, which was Batman's close ally and friend, and then Robin, of course, is a sidekick. Red Hood, I'm not too sure because I really don't read the Red Hood stuff, but Nightwing is Tim, or it's I think it's Dick Grayson now. No, Tim Drake. I'm sorry, but yeah, I mean, I'm not really a big Nightwing fan either. To me, he's just like a demented Robin that wants to be a vigilante.
Yeah.
I picked up like one of his comics and I was not really excited about it. I got pretty bored like in the middle of it, and I was like, okay, just chuck this to the side.
Yeah, I mean, for the rest of us who haven't even bothered reading the comic books, we have no idea. Sleeping Ninja says that hair is butters, which is, I think, London slang for it's not nice. It
doesn't look next gen.
Yeah, I mean, so the other bits of it look okay, not massively next gen, but yeah, I mean, I'll reserve my judgment. I mean, it looks good. The gameplay looks good to me. I just don't like the levels that are coming out from it. I also don't like the fact that, even though I'm not a massive comic book fan, that apparently it's not set in that Arkham universe or follows on from that Arkham series. Is that correct, Clowns?
Yeah, it's not in the Arkham universe. I think Suicide Squad is. It is weird. I think they're kind of setting up for like alternate universes to come to play in the future, if they even get that far. I don't even know how well this game is going to do, to be honest with you, because all the Batman fans are disappointed. Like, they're not going to go out and get a game where they could just play as sidekicks, So I don't know. It's to be seen how well this game does, and if there will even be a sequel for it.
Yeah, exactly. So what about Suicide Squad, going back to that? Because a friend of ours, Jake, the designer, that does a lot of cool stuff at GameOnDaily for us. He is absolutely livid with the direction that Suicide Squad took. Well, I think he like is in contact with the people who made it and said, "Is this really the direction you're going for? Why have you gone this way? Because it's you're trying to copy everyone else. Like Drax is now the shark dude. Like shark, the tonal changes he didn't like. He said it like Sunset Overdrive, but I don't know. It's what do you think, Flamish? Were you impressed by it? I know you're not a big comic book guy like me, but what do you think? I know we didn't see any gameplay, but are you kind of hyped about it?
Yeah, so first of all, I cannot say you gonna compare this to Sunset Overdrive if you haven't seen any gameplay yet. Okay, it looks a little bit more cartoony in the style, but like it's graphic wise, I would not suggest the gameplay is gonna be like Sunset Overdrive yet, of course. Overall, I like where this game is going. It looks great. It's a new vision for the Arkham universe. I don't know how they're gonna tie it in eventually with Bruce and like Batman, because Batman will be in this game probably if it's in the Arkham universe. Would be weird to not have Batman, but I'm like speculating if it's gonna be a bad guy taking over by the big bad in the game.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, I got some interesting reads on your website about that with different articles, and it seems like you can play single player and until 4-player co-op, like drop in, drop out. You can choose whatever character you want at any time during the game. It looks
cool.
Interesting. Yeah, it looks very interesting, up my alley for what I've seen so far. And who does not want to be the bad guy for one time in a game where you actually have to kill the superheroes?
It's really cool. I love that. I always like playing the bad guy. I always rooted for the Decepticons and Transformers. But in this strictly, you're not strictly bad. So you're doing good things.
You're by
man is evil in this, isn't he?
It's with the government. You're actually working for
that
the
is, you're
government.
definitely a bad guy.
So I would not classify it as a good guy.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That's true. If you're with the government, you're never a good guy. Clowns, you're a from a comic book fan. Is this a disgrace to the law? Because I've seen some really, really hard comments on this. Or do you think it's fine? The direction.
For me, I think Suicide Squad's fine. I'm a huge Harley Quinn fan, so I'm glad that she's actually in this game and you could be her and whatnot. And I'm a huge King Shark fan, so I thought that was really cool. And they did King Shark a lot of justice. To be honest with you, I think this is kind of like DC's answer to Marvel's Avengers. I think that eventually we'll see added DLC characters, hopefully free, like Marvel's Avengers will do. I don't know if we'll see like battle passes similar, but I think this is going to be very similar in aspect. I think we're going to get like equivalent of strikes or missions, whatever you want to call them, maybe hopefully raids in the future. So yeah, I mean, this is DC's probably answer, and I think this game's going to do better than Gotham Knights for sure.
Yeah. Oh well, that's interesting. That it will do better than Gotham Knights. I think so too. I think it looks more exciting to me. I liked the shark guy. I never knew who he was. He just did remind me very much of Drax. But Asa, are you?
That's interesting. It's interesting that you say that this one's going to be more successful. This is obviously the kind of the A team, as it were, because this is Rocksteady, who were responsible for the main Arkham trilogy. So you kind of expect they'd get like first dibs at which project they're working for. The Gotham Knights game is from Warner Brothers Montreal, who I think did the Arkham Origins. So the kind of forgotten about sequel from the Arkham series. To be honest, I've not seen enough of Suicide Squad to say that I would think that would be better than the other one.
Gameplay, have we?
Not much at all. They both look fine to me. I'm not particularly invested in the DC universe, so I don't know any of the characters in Gotham Knights. I don't particularly like any of the characters in Suicide Squad, so see how they play out.
And the Shark do, and Deadshot. I don't know who the other guy is. So everyone.
Yeah.
Other fact wears underwear on the outside. Are you a big?
Oh wait, I haven't seen Suicide Squad.
Oh, it's a shit movie. Don't watch it.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I heard. It wasn't great, so I never watched it, and I never really got into it. So I think, yeah, I mean, it's hard for me to actually make any comments on that.
Lastroid says that's a really good take on the game from clowns. Interesting perspective. Yes, it was, and it's good to see a positive perspective from a DC fan as well and a comic book fan, because I'm reading a lot of skepticism or hearing a lot of skepticism. But you're a bit. I think you're very similar to me. Although I do like the dark DC kind of tones, and that's gone in there. Well, it's not there, but I'm still happy because it's a different take. They're trying something new. Suicide Squad is the best movie ever made. How do we ban Moby from? So yeah, that was good. What else did we see at Gamescom that excited you guys? Because because I've been out of it this week. Was anything Flemish that excited you?
Oh, there were a couple of games, but I cannot get them on top of my head right now.
Yeah.
It's been so much that has been shown that it's like so overwhelming at the moment. I probably need some time to process it. Because every game has like a little bit of tidbits as well, like after the main show that they've gone deeper into, and actually Godfall looks a little bit more interesting to me now. Now I'm thinking about it. Like they show more after the gameplay, like they shown in the opening night live. They were actually going a little bit more in depth. It seems like you have different suits that you can have on, and like also different builds with the same character as well. There seems to go the route of Warframe in that sort. So, and Warframe is a good game. So if they're going the same way with Gearbox and how they do loot, like in Borderlands and stuff, I do see they making this an interesting game for sure, and having more exciting, I'm more excited for the game overall.
I'm too. I share your opinion on it because the last gameplay that they showed, it was really good. And I'm not a big looter shooter fan. I don't think call it something else, looter slasher or something. I don't know what it's called, but it looks good. It might be a surprise one for a lot of people that will say that this has got solid mechanics. But let's see. I mean, it was the first PlayStation 5 game that was shown, which is funny. Weird title to show off, but hopefully I wish them well, because they are being very transparent and they've shown a lot of gameplay. And you always respect that. 100%. Ace, is there anything from the Gamescom show that?
Nope. I'm in the same position. There's nothing springing to mind right now. There's been loads in there, and obviously Dragon Age is gonna be, but it's so far off that there's not that much to talk about on it. I'm a big fan of the Dragon Age games in general, so looking forward to that. Godfall looks. I'm not sure about the. I hope it plays out well, but the idea of your kind of build and abilities being so tied to your armor set and these particular legendary armor sets that they have, I hope there's enough of them and you can get attached to them in a way that makes them meaningful for a while. But that could be a really good game. It looks interesting.
I've never really played a Dragon Age game. It just never appealed to me, but maybe Flemish is looking at me like, what? And I don't blame you for looking at me like that. You'll be shocked at some of the RPGs that I've missed. It's just something about them. It's a time sink for me.
Everyone's got some great games that they've missed. There's just not enough time to play them all.
You should get the new Amalur, Reckoning of Amalur. You should get that one. Yeah, that's an old favorite. Actually, an underrated game as well.
Has it aged well?
On the game front, like the old game, I would say not the best, but I haven't checked it out yet. The new one comes out next month, so it's close.
Okay. Clowns, was there anything that stood out for you? Name at least one game, because we've gone.
Yeah, I mean, there's 3 that I could think of. I mean, Outriders look very exciting for me. I'm interested to learn more about that and see more, get hands-on with it. You know, I gotta be honest with you guys, and you might laugh about this, but I'm a Lego games fan. So the Skywalker Saga.
No, I'm just kidding.
I thought the Skywalker Saga looked really good. it screamed next gen to me, you know, and I like how they fit all the different movies into that as well. I thought that was really cool. And then, I mean, it's not really too exciting, but it stuck out to me is that it seemed interesting that EA and Sims were going to include like Star Wars content now. I thought that was kind of unique. You know, I just hope that I can grab a lightsaber and go around, like, you know, destroying villages and neighbors' houses and stuff if I get that.
Mhm.
Other than that, though, I like, man, there's just not a whole bunch out there. I mean, they showed some Destiny 2 stuff. I'm not a Destiny 2 fan, but it got a lot of people hyped when they show that.
Destiny has its market, which surprises me. There's such long legs that maybe that, you know, the deal that Microsoft have with Destiny 2 appearing, I think, on the Xbox Series X and Xbox One on Game Pass, will probably do really well then. I wrote off Destiny 2 because they don't support dedicated servers from PvP. I'm a PvP nut, and if you can't be asked to do that, then why should I bother? Asa, am I wrong? Because you keep shaking your head and I get nervous.
You're right. You're definitely a peanut. That's all I heard.
Speaking of peanuts, Moby. No, I'm just kidding. Moby, you saying it's not Robbie Margaret, it's Margaret Robbie. Thank you, Blessed Road, for correcting him. Medal of Honor, Moby. I haven't seen that yet.
Oh, I have.
And what do you think, Flemish? Because it's been a busy week for us. What do you think of Medal of Honor?
Okay, so Medal of Honor, it's actually basically a game where you're gonna be in VR playing the game, and it's gonna have 3 acts. Going to go to the game like just as a VR character, and it looks interesting. There's some multiplayer stuff as well, like challenges and stuff.
Ace is a massive VR fan, so yeah, he'll be loving everything you're saying right now.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. If it comes to PSVR, because I don't have PC VR, I don't have an Oculus or a Vive yet. But yeah, so far I'm digging what I'm seeing in that game. Looks very good.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment too much about it. Asa, have you seen Medal of Honor?
I sure have. And for me, as you say, like a VR fan that I am, Medal of Honor, Project Cars 3, and Star Wars Squadrons. It's a lot of hours of gameplay in there for me, so I'm happy.
Star Wars Squadrons for me is the big one that I'm really excited about. I'm also really excited to hear that it's actually very in depth. All the combat mechanics are, because you have bits like, you know, managing your fuel and all sorts, and I think that's really cool. And that's not far off. That's in October. Moby, I'm sorry I called you a peanut. You're not a peanut. Don't go away. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm super excited for Star Wars, and it's a shame it's kind of coming out a month before next gen. Maybe it's good, but next gen is pretty dead otherwise at launch anyway. So I guess Gamescom's been pretty quiet. Usually that's pretty good. Game would have heard about them, and I haven't really seen anything stand out. For me, it was Ratchet and Clank's gameplay that made the biggest noise. I think we're struggling to mention
Crash Bandicoot 4 was also shown.
Oh yeah, I've seen some Crash 4 as well. Crash looks really great.
It does, yeah.
It really looks good. Moby says calling it now Star Wars Squadron's going to be 4 out of 10. So regret now apologizing for calling you a peanut, Moby. No, I hope it's not a 4 out of 10, Moby. I hope it does well. I think it will do well. I don't think it's going to, you know, create massive waves like a mainline Star Wars kind of game like Fallen Order, but it will definitely have its fans, particularly with the hardcore, because it seems to have that scope for games to really have that depth in that.
It's kind of interesting because the game has positive sentiment going for it at the moment. So generally people that have seen it have reacted really well. They like that there's no microtransactions and all the rest of it. And that contrasts really well against Avengers. That might be worth another little chat. I know we've visited it a few times before, but those reviews must be due in the next week or so. So if we want to play Guess the Review Score.
Oh yeah, let's play that. One. I think 4 out of 10. Oh, okay, let's just do Metacritic because that's a universe that everyone seems to employ. I would say about 67 Metacritic for Avengers, based on the absolute nonsense I'm hearing. Like what you also guessed, Asa, was that each character has its own battle pass. It's like they want us to hate them.
That's interesting though, because if you frame it differently, each character is free, and if you want to play this DLC, you have the option to purchase a battle pass. That's how people would be seeing it if they didn't have exclusive Spider-Man, Verizon skins, and all of this other stuff that's just turned people against them so badly. Because you could look at that, you could look at it from a different perspective and say, actually, they're releasing DLC characters and they're giving you them for free. You don't have to pay a penny to play as Hawkeye or whatever. Not that you necessarily would anyway, but you don't have to pay for Hawkeye.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a lot of options to spend money if you want to, but actually they're giving a lot away. So they could have framed it so differently if they hadn't taken so many other anti-consumer steps before it. But because they've done that, because of Spider-Man, because of all the other things, everyone's going to see this and just it's going to get torn apart.
Yeah, I think it will. What are your aim? What are your guesses, Flemish? What do you think will do well?
Okay, so first of all, about the battle passes and Avengers in general, I love the game. I'm buying my deluxe edition on Xbox.
Okay.
Yeah, also because the Series X that comes out will have the best, like, it has the best hardware of the two consoles that comes out, and yeah, I'm buying a Series X day one, so that's why I'm buying my Xbox version. I don't really care about Spider-Man that much because you do have like the Spider-Man games, like the 2018 Spider-Man
Which
game
Ace
that came out. Yeah. Basically you can play Spider-Man over there. Gonna probably like play similar to that as well. So overall with the battle pass system, if you just purchase one battle pass, right? You can earn all those credits back if you play it. And then you can buy the new character, the battle pass for that, and you can also earn like the 1000 credits back over the amount of gameplay. So it's not really like you have to purchase. You only have to purchase one, and even if you have the deluxe edition, you do get credits as well. So actually, I don't have to pay anything anymore, and I can just buy the battle pass, play the character, level it up, and get my credits back. So basically, you can look at that a different way. And also, you get a lot of value in the battle pass as well for 12,500 credits that I've read. And overall the game looks fun. There's a lot that we haven't seen yet. We haven't seen the two other skill trees of the characters, which adds a lot more to the gameplay. So the people are judging it on something like a small tidbit of the game, I would say. There's way more in the game going on than we have seen. So I don't like to go by numbers. So if I would go for Metacritic, I would probably go with an 85, maybe an 80.
That's very good. And it's good to have a divergent opinion on it and a positive one at that. Clowns, have you?
Well, I like Marvel's Avengers because it's basic comic books. I think the battle pass thing, the hype around it, the negative reviews on it is going to affect the score. Just like Shadow of War with the loot boxes. So I think because of that, I think most journalists are going to rate it about a 72.
Okay, no, I'm with you there. I think it's going to be like that. Dad Gamer, thank you for joining us. He says, I want to buy it. It's just so expensive off the bat. But playing Hulk all day long, which is there's one
question for Asa.
A question for Asa. Asa, watched your gameplay of Tell Me Why last night. This is on Blasteroid. Last night on stream. What are your thoughts on the game? And has anyone else on the panel played it? I haven't played it. It's not really for me. But Asa, tell me.
Okay. So when you say it's not really for you, I'm the opposite. I really like that kind of game. So tell me why. I played Life is Strange a lot. The kind of episodic games, my normal way of playing them would be to wait until the last episode comes out and then play through it as a normal kind of game. But this one is coming out in such quick succession. So it's only 3 episodes long and they're coming out consecutive Fridays. So chapter 2 is next week, and the week after you can finish off the story. I think they've done a really good job of getting interesting characters across very quickly. And after playing The Last of Us Part 2, where I felt the opposite. I felt Naughty Dog didn't do a great job of getting certain characters across very quickly. I'm not going to say any more for the sake of spoilers and whatnot, but I thought they let themselves down a little bit with certain characters. Then you go and play Tell Me Why, and I think they did a great job of getting the characters across almost immediately. Within the first 15 minutes, you know what you've got, and you know you can figure out a lot about them and understand them. What I didn't like was that the decisions that are presented to you don't seem to make much of a difference at all. It might pan out, it might open up more as the game goes on, but it's about a 3-hour game. Mm-hmm. And if you were to ask me to play it again, I think it'd be very boring a second time, because there wasn't a lot that you could influence. And when it did go from... So it tells its story very nicely, and it is an interesting story. When it tries to do gameplay, it's way less competent.
Okay.
So there's certain sections where it deviates from dialogue choices and story. Doesn't deviate far, but it's got a puzzle in there that was just really tedious, and a little couple of walking around sections where it tries to just mix up the pace a little bit, I guess. And those didn't really do it for me. I didn't really want to play those bits. But overall, though, it's definitely diversity in Microsoft stable in terms of the type of game. It's definitely not a Gears of War or a Halo. And it's really interesting.
Don't they? Because you've got Flight Simulator, then you got your RTSs, then you got Tell Me Why. Isla Drummond, thank you for joining us. She loves it, clearly, with the smiley hot face. And the protagonists are so cute. I love them. Okay. Did you find
that's the twins. Cute? So the twins, I don't find anybody cute ever, or even animals. Just I don't have that terminology available to me. But the game, it's quite well known that one of its I'm not going to say signature, but it has a transgender twin, and it has another twin, and that was kind of a big deal at the time. I think some of its thunder was stolen by The Last of Us Part 2 again, with some very similar themes. But
how do you think that was handled? Was it like tastefully? Because it is a sensitive topic.
It's super tasteful, because they got, I think in every language, they got a transgender actor to play that character, and took on board everything they needed to. And the interactions are actually quite interesting and quite uncomfortable to watch sometimes with the other characters.
What do you mean?
So,
like just vocal?
In the way that it probably would be. It's quite uncomfortable to watch the characters responding to them, and how difficult that must be in certain situations. So it is handled very well.
That's good. You want it, video games tend to do this. Like like they do, like sensitive stuff, like sex is generally horrible. I'm still scarred by Mass Effect, and how badly it did the sex scenes.
I've only ever seen GTA something.
Oh yeah,
the sex scene in it, and that was just the car rocking.
Well, there's something else, but yeah. Oh, we're talking about sex now. What's a cisgender twin? A CIS gender twin? I don't know what that is, but it's good that it's been handled well. I've heard the trans characters being well received by the LGBT community. That's good,
That's exactly it. So when you ask me how well it's handled, I'm not the person to answer. But
yeah. Well, are you in the LGBT community?
Am I in the community? Well,
are you? Do you know anything about the game?
I don't know anything about the game, and I think it's good that they're incorporating LGBT things into these games.
Because am I the LGBT? I'm not asking you.
I think sex in games just hasn't really gone. There's been a lot of violence in games, but
it's a weird one. I think it's really good. Cis is pronounced cis. It's the opposite of trans. I'm sorry.
I think cis means like straight. Like
True.
I think that's what it means.
So what's a cisgender to it? So no cisgender. I mean, I'm really ignorant on these things, so please forgive me. I don't mean any offense. I don't know what these are. So that means straight. Cis means straight.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, it means it's the opposite of trans.
So you have a transgender protagonist, and then you have a normal
cis.
You see, I think the key that you try and go for is to avoid the term normal.
Sorry. Sorry, I'm really sorry. This is why I'm really bad at this. Do not read anything to my ignorance. But okay, that's cool. Do you get to pick both? Sorry, I'm a bit ignorant.
You play as both, yeah. It kind of seamlessly swaps between them and has slightly paranormal elements in the way that they share thoughts in their head and so on. So chapter 1's only about 3 hours long, I think it took to get through.
Yeah. Okay. That's not bad. I mean, I might try it. I like shorter games because I don't have time for long games. This is the thing. Sorry, someone in chat mentioned a crypto mining game. This was really weird. Yeah. Well, have you heard of that? Have you heard of that?
No, never heard of it.
Yeah, I've been mining cryptocurrency. I don't even want to hear the word cryptocurrency after all that.
Still scarred for life.
After all the investments we made and lost all our money. So have you guys played Flemish? Have you played Tell Me Why?
No, I actually have my girlfriend over in the weekends, and I was actually waiting till this weekend after the show to actually play it. So I cannot really comment on it. So it's fun that I have like a little bit upfront, like things what's going to happen. Like it's interesting. I'm for sure gonna try that. I mean, it's free on Game Pass. You cannot go wrong with free. So yeah, I'm checking it out just after the show probably, or a little bit later. I promise
I've given you no spoilers. So
no, it's good. I just have a little bit more backstory now. So yeah, I'm interested.
I'm interested as well now because I want to kind of see. You mentioned the paranormal element as well. I love that stuff. So that'd be pretty cool. Clowns, are you interested in? Have you played? Tell Me Why.
Yeah, I started it today. I played maybe about an hour of it. It's a lot like the way Life is Strange is done, and I had a hard time with Life is Strange. I thought kind of got boring, and the music kind of makes you. It made me feel depressed, that kind of music. But I will say that with Tell Me Why, what's interesting is what Asa pointed out is I think that they handled, transgender very well in the game. I think it was done and written perfectly well. It was very interesting that when the game starts out, it's very quite clear. There's a lot of clues around. If you like Life is Strange, if you go around, look at the room and stuff. So it's very interesting the way they did it. They did a great job writing the story.
Oh, okay, that's pretty cool. Based on what you just told me about the way the room is, then the photos and stuff will change. And that's okay. I'm getting more excited. And like Flemish mentions, it's free to play because Xbox Game Pass is killing it again and again. That service has saved me so much money. I'm playing Microsoft Flight Simulator now, and it looks incredible. So is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Because I think
so. Just seeing the chat going on there.
Backstreet Boys.
I was thinking Backstreet Boys.
Just tell me why.
It's like that Brooklyn Nine-Nine episode. Well done, Sleeping Ninja Jack. And anyone who joined into that.
Quite nicely coordinated.
That was very well coordinated. Well done. So anything else? I think that kind of wraps it up, and Flemish just added to that. I think really that would wrap it up. I think just before we go, I do want to just go double back on the Xbox Series X game, but just want to get final opinions on it. Yeah, I think it's a big issue. I'm not happy with it. I just want to get a quick roundup. Asa, what do you think? Bad? Good? What are Xbox going to sort it out? Will you still buy an Xbox Series X at launch?
Of course, depends how you mean sort it out. So over time, all of these problems will go away, and there'll be some great games on the Series X. Are they going to get it sorted out in time for launch? It's not very long to go. I don't know. It could be a fairly sparse one.
Yeah, and that's not good, man, because this is the opportunity for the Xbox Series X to then kind of at least get the US and the UK back as territories that they had lost out on. And there have been a series of blunders with the Halo Infinite being delayed. That alone killed that opportunity for it to happen. And day one momentum, I keep saying this is very key when it comes to next-gen consoles being released, and I think they've lost that. But that can all change if they fail.
To be fair, not necessarily, because I think they'll sell their launch allocation anyway. That's kind of a given. And I think you're only talking a matter of months before things do fall into place if there is this problem at launch. So I don't think they've necessarily blown it completely. There's a tendency around the internet to react very strongly to things that are happening. Like 8 minutes of Ratchet and Clank gameplay, and suddenly the Twitter sphere are eating their own faces with rage that they haven't seen an Xbox game that looks like it, and it's an overreaction. Nothing's changed that much in the last couple of days.
Yeah, I think so.
But
Flemish, what do you think? Positive thoughts? You're buying one day one, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm buying one day one. Just the things they're upgrading, like with loading times, of course. I mean, look at the games we're playing now. Sometimes just loading times like 2-3 minutes. When you look at Destiny, I'm just staring at my screen, looking at the spaceship for like 2-3 minutes, flying around.
Yeah. Oh
could be
yeah.
better.
Don't have to see that anymore, right?
Yeah, it's gonna be better. Also, yeah, the graphical upgrades. I do have my OLED C9 ready to go for new generation.
Nice.
So also Cyberpunk, man. Cyberpunk on the new consoles will probably be the best game to play on that. So
Definitely.
overall, yeah, it is a little bit sad. We don't know like too much about the other stuff going on with it. And it would probably sell more, but I think it will sell out anyway. I mean, all the hardcore Xbox players are gonna buy it anyway because it's new hardware and they want to have it in their homes anyway. So, and I'm one of them. Not hardcore, casual, but I'm gonna get one.
No, absolutely. We'll be getting a day one anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference to Microsoft. I'll be making a lot of noise about it. Even if Blastroid doesn't like that, I will. Hitesh Khatri, thank you for joining us right at the end of the show. Hopefully you were watching at the start. Microsoft #1 priority at the moment is Game Pass. Yes, I agree. I think it's true, and it's doing really well on that front. Speaking of which, Clowns, what do you think, just to sum up, generally, what the Xbox Series X fiasco with its gameplay? And yeah, what do you think?
Well, I'm going to be a day one buyer as well, but I got to say that I am disappointed in Microsoft and Xbox. I think it's something that they could have done or worked out with third party, even a multi-plat. It should have happened. We are so close to launch that there's really no reason that we haven't seen even like 2 minutes of something. Yeah. I mean, so it's a negative on Xbox, and it just seems like every time they're doing good, they fall backwards again. Yep. And I think I honestly think it's going to hurt them because, the message that people are getting is that PlayStation 5 is going to have Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and Ratchet and Clank at launch, and Xbox is going to have zero except for Game Pass. So Xbox wants to change that narrative. They want to change that message. They're going to have to show something that, even if it's like Cyberpunk or something, that says, hey, play this on our system.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I'm with you. I think Microsoft always said to put their foot in their mouth. So every time they're doing well, they just kill that momentum. And this is just a prime example of it. Very basic example. We're asking for very little. Show us gameplay on the hardware that you're purporting to sell. Let's start doing that. Sam, you've seen Ratchet and gameplay now. First, you thought it wasn't a big deal. Then you saw Ratchet and gameplay. You thought, okay, that looks sick.
Yeah.
Having time to have time to digest it all. What do you think?
I think I would agree with what Ace said. Is that there's not much difference between the two. I haven't seen much from either of them as far as I'm concerned. Maybe slightly more from Sony, but at the end of the day, I actually do wonder now. Is it a similar situation with them not giving out the pricing of each console? Is it like a Cold War situation where they're purposefully not showing too much, too far away from launch because they're holding all their cards close to their chest now, and they're waiting to see who sort of does what first.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I've completely dodged that. I completely forgot the price point. Guys, we're in September. We have no idea what either console is going to cost. What is going on? And I think
in September,
well, basically, September in a couple of days, and it's just like, well, are they holding their cards close to their chest in terms of games? It's a weird one. I don't think they are, but I think the pricing thing is a very big issue as well. When are we going to find out? I thought it'd be August. I can't believe it's not been revealed. But Blastroid says they've been very clear, Microsoft he's talking about, that generations are no longer a line in the sand for the Xbox ecosystem. Xbox's business model is Game Pass ecosystem. They don't need a system seller. Fat disagree from me on that one. But I'll tell you next week why I think that's the case. Guys, before we end the show, I just want to really thank Flemish and Clowns. You'd be great to have on. Before, just
let's have them fight over the opportunity to tell us about their daily show as well.
Yeah, I was just about to say that. So tell us about your daily show, guys, and also where can people find you? Flemish or Clowns, either one of you. Go ahead.
Do you want to go, Klaus, or should I?
You could go, Flemish. You go ahead.
Okay, yeah, cool. So first of all, we do have a channel called Daily Game Bites. We started like 2 weeks ago, had some troubles. We created our first channel. YouTube deleted that channel, so to speak, so we had to create a new one. So that was a little bit of trouble.
Oh, wow.
Try it again
at the
this time
moment,
with clothes on.
Yeah, I was going to say. Keep the clothes on, guys. That'll keep the channel alive.
it's so sad. I don't know what happened, but yeah, we had like the launch show. That's the only one we lost in that transition to go into the new channel now. So it's not too much yet.
Yeah.
But overall, yeah, we're trying to do this like daily, bringing you the news from like the GameOnDaily website is a big help to us as well in this. To bring you the latest news about the gaming industry, non-biased, because we try to be as neutral as possible. I mean, there are some shows Xbox related, there are some shows PlayStation related. The news is a little bit leaning to one side sometimes, and we want to just stay in the middle of that.
Yeah.
To have like all different platforms and stuff on there. Which I think is very important for like the whole community. I mean, it's bigger than just PlayStation, Xbox, the Switch, there's PC. You also have indie games, which you can show off sometimes. And we're still
Daily Gaming Bites, everyone. So I'll try and share that in the chat as well.
Yeah. And we also have, we try to do the show like every day except for Tuesday. That's our free day off. But we're still having some trouble sometimes. So sometimes it will not be show. But we're trying to, it's still like in the early stages. So we're just ramping it up. And after a while, we'll do some other stuff like reviews, having interviews as well. But it's all for the future. So
I mean, a daily show on the news. I mean, we struggle like weekly is a big endeavor. Doing a daily show is amazing. Do you know? I mean, do you have a prescribed length of time? How long are these shows?
We're trying to go for an hour tops. Trying to keep it bite-sized. That's why I call Daily Gaming Bites.
Yeah.
But we're doing it live. We're not going for the pre-recorded route at the moment. Sometimes we probably have to meet our schedules because I'm still working besides that. So sometimes it's a little bit hard because he lives in America, I'm from Europe, so the time zones are also a big difference. So sometimes we'll not be able to get it at that time that we want to go live. But we try to go to live the most times.
Will it be both of you, or can it be like sometimes one of you guys do it and the others? So are they Clowns and then you do it Flemish, or will it be both of you?
Maybe that's an option. We can explore that to bring on the daily show every time. That would be something we can explore for sure. That's a good idea.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's really hard to like logistically to sort these things out. Doing a daily gaming show is amazing. So I've already subscribed. I'm looking forward to it. I've shared the link on the stream and it's not coming up. I think YouTube are blocking, thinking it's spam. We'll try and share it out, and we'll share it out on our Twitter, guys, as well. So that's Daily Gaming Bites, and I'm really looking forward to seeing that because you guys have a great dynamic as well. So, and the industry does need really level-headed guys, not people like me who just shout on Twitter. But yeah, so thank you so much, Flemish and Clowns. Do you want to kind of tell us where people can find you on Twitter and social media?
Yeah, well, people can find me at Italian Clowns on almost everything. I also do a couple other shows. I mean, Daily Game Bites is going to be like the big project that we're doing now, but I also do Four Guys with Quarters weekly, and I do Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends. as well. So I love podcasts. I love getting out there in the community and have a lot of stuff out there already.
That's brilliant. And have you a Twitter handle? I know you have one. What's your Twitter? Oh, it's actually down there, Italian Clowns, right? And we've got both of your Twitter handles up there. So yeah.
You don't want to pronounce mine. It's the worst. He's
Oh,
trying to
ask him to pronounce his name. Ask him. Trust me, it's good. It's really good because nobody could pronounce it but him.
Please, Flemish, because there's no way I'm going to butcher your handle by pronouncing that. Tell us how it's pronounced.
Yeah, so first of all, I do want to say the G, how I tell it in my language, it's Flemish or more to the Dutch side. Like the English people say the G in a different pronunciation. You say G with like a J, and we say G. So for us, it's very different. And when you say my Twitter handle, it's Gregory Gooivaart.
Wow. There's no way on earth I could ever...
Haggery Gooivaart.
It's not an H, clown. It's a whatever the hell that sounds like.
That's exactly how I would have said it.
Yeah.
We have this upcoming gimmick that he's trying to do it every day on the show to try to get it right. So
yeah, good luck with that, clowns, because I would not be able to do it for a long time. No, but thank you guys. It was lovely having you guys on the show. Thank you for joining us. Yeah. Thank you guys in the chat. And is there anything else you want to say? Sorry.
Yeah, I do want to say like my own channel, of course. I do have my own channel as well. So Daily Game Bites is both our channel. But my channel, Flemish, on YouTube, I do a Sunday show where I go like into random stuff. It's pure random. It can go about whatever I want to, what the panel members want to. I try to have some guests on as well. And then on Tuesday I have Retro Renegades where we play old games, talk about old stuff.
I play them live? Play the old retro games live?
Yeah, we actually play them live.
Oh, okay.
That's what we try to, and we got like 6 or 7 panel members or 8.
Nice,
So we got a lot of people on there, and yeah, we just talk about retro stuff. And it's also a little bit random as well, so it's not entirely scripted. So it's not scripted at all. But sometimes I feel a little bit too young for that because I'm only in my 30s, and they're talking about the Dreamcast and
Dreamcast is not too old. You're in your 30s. Come on, I thought you were going to mention like Pong or Atari or something.
Yeah, stuff like that as well. There's a lot of different stuff from the 70s and 80s. That's before my time. So.
Yeah. Well, no, that's not so bad. I'd love to check that out. Love the retro live play as well. It's something we actually talked about ourselves as well, but that's brilliant. So that's Flemish, guys. If you can just leave a message, you've commented there, Flemish, on the chat. So you just click on YouTube, guys, and make sure you like and subscribe the guys. They're great on panels. I'm sure the content's going to be brilliant. And again, thank you all of you for joining, especially in the chat. The 2 guests, thank you, Clowns and Flemish. You've been great. Asa for holding this whole thing over. And yeah, I'll hopefully see you next week with Sam and me, Asa, and future guests. Thank you so much. Thank you.
All right. Enjoy gaming's best montage.
Boom.